Hello, I'm Joshua Kimsey.
And I'm Catherine Arnold.
Our student research project centers around collecting, studying, and extrapolating information from student records to determine what trends can be found relating to student performance averages over a 3-year time span. We want to look at how an individual school study, in this case the Stafford School of Business, compares to the overall college in terms of GPA, graduation rates, and dropout rates.
Our aim is to find trends about how an individual school of study does in terms of being better or worse than the parent college and create a model that can be applied to other schools of study, both here at ABAC and other colleges.
We will use objective data to conduct this research. Using statistics like average college GPA and high school GPA, graduation and dropout rates, as well as other demographics, we hope to determine which characteristics belong to students who underperform. Using these characteristics, we'll be able to predetermine which students will have trouble in their schooling, which will allow us to give these students extra care to help them succeed. There are multiple different ways that we will interpret and extrapolate this data and use it to compare students.
First, we will look at how the current average GPA of students compares to their high school GPA. Does an above average high school GPA correlate with an above average college GPA? We will be able to look and see if that particular school of study we are focusing on, the business school, attracts students with higher GPAs compared to ABACs as a whole.
We will examine whether an overall higher SAT and/or ACT score translates into a higher overall GPA for college students. We will also look to see if the business school, on average, attracts those students with a higher SAT or an ACT score, and whether or not that translates into higher GPA grades within the school.
Next, we will look at the average ages for students attending the college. We will determine whether the Stafford School of Business has a similar average age or if the college's average is different. We'll be able to use this data to answer multiple questions. Do non-traditional older students perform better or worse? What about year to year? Do we see a drastic change in a student who is 18 years old versus 21?
We'll examine what the average graduation rate is and how it compares to the average dropout rate. Looking at this data, we can discover whether this ratio is increasing or decreasing over time and whether the business school scores higher or lower than the college average. We will also examine the average graduating GPA of students for the college, as well as for the whole business school. Using this data, we can see whether the business school is above or below the ABAC average for graduating GPA.
We will look at the demographic makeup of the college and how the business school compares to the college in terms of ethnicity. We will also look to see if there are any discrepancies in GPA between ethnicities, and to what extent these discrepancies also exist in the business school.
We will also examine whether the students come from and determine whether the business school draws from a larger or smaller area than the college does as a whole. We will investigate this on a county-to-county basis. Do students coming from a rural county have a better or worse GPA than those coming from an urban area? Where does ABAC draw its students from? Where does the business school draw them from?
It is our goal to determine which of these data points can provide insight as to what affects the average GPA of students. We will determine if a model can be made to accurately predict the effects on current and future students within individual schools of study. If a model can be made to predict the effects, our aim is to create this model and make it functional for use with other colleges and universities to determine how an individual school of study might better prepare its students to deal with the challenges that affect their GPAs.
Our choice to use only objectively quantifiable data means that there would be no delay in other colleges adapting this model to examine their students' data. The core of our model revolves around the use of objective data. However, this model could also be combined with subjective data as well, obtained through such means as surveys or student comment. Subjective data like emotions toward professors, views towards ABAC as a school, and sexuality and political views, among other things, will add new elements to the study.
It is our aim to make a model that is adaptable and flexible, as well as easy to obtain results from. With the core of our model based on objective, fact-based data, the results can be used to provide accurate results for colleges and schools of study. The results can be used to examine the students' performance averages and determine what variables affect that performance.
It is our hope that this model and the data it produces can be used to help colleges improve their student experience in college and help improve their academic performance. Having advisors aware of potential red flags can help colleges ensure that they are doing everything they can for student success. Thank you.
Thank you.